statistic that should unsettle anyone who thinks of themselves as a rational investor. Study after study has shown that the average investor's actual returns lag the returns of the very funds they're invested in, often by 3 to 5% annually. Think about what that means. The fund did fine, the investment itself performed as advertised, but the person holding it earned significantly less. Not because of fees, not because of a bad fund choice, because of what they did or didn't do along the way. This is called the behavior gap, and it might be the single most expensive thing in your entire financial life. Today, we're going to break down exactly where it comes from, and more importantly, what a scientific framework does to close it. Here's how the behavior gap actually plays out. Markets rise, headlines turn positive, confidence builds, and that's precisely when fund inflows tend to peak. Money pouring in near the top, driven by the feeling that everyone else is making money and you're missing out. Then the markets fall. Headlines turn fearful, and that's when outflows peak. Investors selling near the bottom, locking in losses that would have been recovered had they simply stayed put. This isn't a flaw in anyone's intelligence. It's a predictable, repeatable pattern across millions of investors every single market cycle. The data on fund flows versus market performance tells the same story, decade after decade. We are, on average, buying high and selling low, which is the exact opposite of what creates returns. There's a well-known body of research on this, comparing investors who trade frequently against those who barely touch their accounts. The frequent traders consistently underperform, not by a small margin either. The irony is that most people who trade frequently believe they're being diligent. They're staying informed, reacting to news, adjusting their positions. It feels like good portfolio management, but every transaction is a decision point, and every decision point is an opportunity for emotion to override strategy. Investors who do best aren't the ones doing the most. They're often the ones who've made it structurally difficult to do anything at all. Automatic contributions, long lockup periods, rules that remove the temptation to react. Activity feels like control. Very often, it's the opposite. Here's something the financial media will never tell you because it would undermine their entire business model. The most compelling narratives tend to arrive at exactly the wrong time. At market tops, the story is always some version of, this time it's different. The old rules don't apply, and if you're not in, you're falling behind. At market bottoms, the story is always some version of, this is structural, not cyclical. Things may never recover the way they did before. Both narratives feel urgent, both feel like they demand action, and both, historically, have been wrong far more often than they've been right. The narrative isn't there to inform you, it's there to generate engagement, and engagement requires an emotional response. A scientific framework doesn't ignore the news, it simply refuses to let the news set the strategy. So how do you actually close this gap? The honest answer is that willpower is not a strategy. Almost everyone believes that they'll be the exception, that they will stay calm when the markets fall 30%. Almost nobody is. The solution is structural, not psychological. Pre-commit to a rebalancing schedule before you need one, so decisions are made on a calendar, not in a moment of fear. Automate contributions so that they continue regardless of what the headlines say that week. And build a written investment policy, even a simple one, that you agreed to when you were calm, so that the future you, in a moment of panic, has something to refer back to other than emotion. The investors who close the behavior gap aren't smarter than everyone else. They simply remove themselves from the decision-making loop at the exact moments it matters most. I'm the Scientific CIO. Precision by design, performance by discipline.